Welcome to our Wednesday episode of Arch City Sports. I'm your host, AJ Nance. Today we're going to be covering the Cardinals versus Reds Game 1 of the series, a Game 1 loss for our St. Louis Cardinals 3-0. We're going to take a look into the pipeline, take a look at the Memphis Redbirds, Springfield Cardinals, and Palm Beach Cardinals, and then we're going to finish up with what is going to be a normal segment here on the podcast for the next few weeks, and that is a St. Louis Blues roster breakdown. Today's going to be part one. We're going to break down 3 players at a time every single episode up until the season opener, which is October 8th versus the Seattle Kraken. Before we get into everything, make sure to follow on Instagram, follow on TikTok, follow on X at Arch City Sports. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening and watching on YouTube. Make sure to follow and rate the podcast on Spotify or Amazon Music if you're listening over there. We would really appreciate that. Help get our name around a little bit. But like I said, let's hop right into it with the Cardinals versus Reds, Game 1 of the series. The Cardinals were 72-70, and then a series finale loss versus the Seattle Mariners, making us 72-71. And now we are straight in the middle again at 72-72, a 3-0 loss. Andre Palante got the start versus a huge Reds prospect. Rhett Lauder is his name. He's had 3 starts now at the major league level, and he's been really, really solid. He had good stuff last night. Andre Palante, though, 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, 3 runs, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. The first 3 innings, he breezed through them. The 4th inning got into a jam, but got out of it. And then the 5th inning gave up, or maybe I got that reversed. Whatever it was, he gave up 3 in 1 inning, whether it be the 4th or the 5th. But the 5 walks really hurt him, and that's one thing that Palante has struggled with a little bit. He doesn't really get hit hard often, unlike Miles Michaelis, who did a lot in that season or series finale versus the Seattle Mariners. But Andre Palante, just if he can cut down the walks consistently, he's going to put himself in a better position and be able to go deeper into the ball game. He gave us 5 innings, though, only 3 runs, which, with how our lineup was swinging it, that should be enough. So we look at the top of the order. Brendan Donovan goes 3 for 4 with 3 singles. Burleson was 0 for 4. But after that, you got Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. They combined to go 4 for 7. That should be plenty enough, 3 runs. But it goes down to what we've said all year long. Our inability to hit with runners in scoring position is mind-blowing to me. We left 8 guys on base, and the 9th inning was a huge it showed exactly what this season has been in a nutshell. And 1 inning, all brought into 1 inning, and I'll get to that in a second. I have to shout out the bullpen, though. Ryan Fernandez, John King, Chris Roycroft go 4 innings combined, giving up 1 hit, no runs, only walked 1 batter and struck out 4. And then I also hadn't mentioned Thomas Saggese, the Cardinals' number 4 prospect, made his Cardinal debut last night, batting 7th in the lineup, playing second base, or playing shortstop rather, to give Mason Wynn a breather, much needed breather. Saggese went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Made a couple nice plays at shortstop, though. And in the 9th inning, like I mentioned, we during the whole game, we left 8 guys on base. The 9th inning, to start the inning, we have Paul Goldschmidt, single. Nolan Arenado, single. Lars Nootbaar, walk. We have the bases loaded with 0 out. And then the young guys come out. Jordan Walker, strikeout. Thomas Saggese, strikeout. And then Matt Carpenter, pinch hitting for, I believe it was Pedro Pages at the time, he strikes out. So Emilio Pagan gave up 2 hits and a walk to start the inning, and then struck out the side. If that doesn't describe our entire season in a nutshell when it comes to the offense and our inability to hit with runners in scoring position, I don't know what shows it better than that. Bases loaded, 0 out, can't get a sac fly, can't make contact with anything. Now, on both sides, the umpire last night was horrific. On both sides, though. In the Jordan Walker at bat, there was a fastball on the inside part of the plate that they called a strike. I think it was maybe even the second pitch of the at bat. Gave him 2 strikes, and it was tough to rebound from that because it was a huge swing pitch. Thomas Saggese had a couple of very hittable fastballs over the middle of the plate, swung through them, and Matt Carpenter, coming off the bench for Pages, also struck out. So tough loss for the Cardinals. We fall to 72-72 on the season. Game 2 is tonight. Lance Lynn makes his return for the Cardinals versus Brandon Williamson, who's only making his 3rd start of the season. He's got really good stuff, though. Tall, lanky left-hander. We've seen him a couple times the last couple years. So 2 guys that have not made a start in quite a while, which could mean it could lead to a massive bullpen game tonight. Now, hopefully Lance Lynn is good to go, eats up 5 or 6 innings, and it is not a huge bullpen game for us. But Brandon Williamson, I know they're being pretty careful with him. He's still young. I could see a lot of the Reds bullpen being used tonight. So Lance Lynn versus Brandon Williamson. Hopefully Lance Lynn returns with some promise. And also, I mean, these last 3 weeks of the season, we're really seeing what we have with Steven Matz, Kyle Gibson, and Lance Lynn. Whether you guys like it or not, I know they're older guys, but those 3 guys could be potential arms in your rotation, and they're also trying to showcase what they have to for us to bring them back. All those guys, I mean, Matz is still on a deal, but Gibson and Lynn are on 1-year deals, so they're showing what they have these last couple weeks, and hopefully, I mean, I'm a huge Lance Lynn fan. Hopefully he answers the call. I will say Kyle Gibson, the last 2 starts has been phenomenal, though. So he's really showed out, wanting to return to St. Louis next year. Let's take a look into the pipeline, though. The Memphis Redbirds are still playing down there. They get a 5-3 win last night. They are now 69-70 on the season. The much asked about Nolan Gorman goes 3 for 5 with 2 homers and 3 RBIs. Michael McGreevy, you guys may remember him at the major league level about a month and a half ago, going 7 innings of really good baseball here at the major league level and then getting sent back down. He gave us 5 innings, giving up only 3 runs, 7 hits. His season ERA is now down to 4.02, and let's just say it was over 5 before he made his major league start. And after having such success up here in that 1 start, I think he went down there and has a new sense of confidence, and he's been really showing out down there, really performing well since being sent back down. The Springfield Cardinals continue to roll on. They are now 77-56 on the season after a 7-3 win. Brian Torres at the top of that order has been so good. 2 for 4 last night, a 334 average now on the season, and an 839 OPS for a guy that just has a couple homers on the year. That's how much he's getting on base. 839 OPS, really good to see from Brian Torres. Chase Davis from Peoria got the call. Again, he started at Palm Beach, then he went to Peoria, produced there, gets the call up to Springfield. And since going up to Springfield, he has a 364 average. He was 2 for 5 last night with an RBI. And the starting pitcher last night, Brandon Komar, 7 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, 7-3 on the season, 2.50 ERA. Brandon Komar is slightly going under the radar. I don't even want to say slightly. He is definitely under the radar, especially earlier this year when you had Quinn Matthews at the AA level, Tink Hentz at the AA level. Now, obviously, Quinn Matthews at Memphis. But Brandon Komar was kind of that slept-on guy that wasn't really talked about. He kind of came out of the bullpen for a while, then he's been starting games, but overall, like I said, last night, 7 2/3, 3 runs. He's 7-3 on the season with a 2.5 ERA. Really good stuff from Brandon Komar, the 25-year-old. Keep an eye on Komar throughout the rest of this season and going into the offseason as well. Last but not least, when it comes to Cardinals baseball, the Palm Beach Cardinals started their playoff run last night with a 8-3 victory. Hopefully another win tonight, and they can seal the series in the Divisional Series down there. JJ Wetherholt, a 2-run homer in his first at-bat of the playoffs, his first pitch in the playoffs, a opposite field shot from JJ. He went 1 for 4 with that homer. Josh Baez, who was sent down from Peoria to Palm Beach, has really played well down there. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And then Ian Petrutz, I have to say it every time, but former guest of the show, goes 2 for 4 as well. Jose Davila with 5 innings, 2 runs given up. Michael Watson, who also follows the podcast on Instagram, shout out Michael Watson, 2 2/3 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts. And then Nolan Sparks, also former guest of the show, an inning in the third to close it out. He gave up 1 run and struck out every guy that he got out for 4 strikeouts in an inning in the third. Really good stuff from the Palm Beach Cardinals. Hopefully another win tonight, and they can keep rolling in the playoffs. Let's take a little transition break here to the Blues now. The first, like I said at the very beginning, the very first Blues segment of Arch City Sports. We covered them, I guess, a little bit at the latter part of their season of 2023. If I remember that correctly, I don't remember covering much Blues at all, but it's ramping up quickly. We start in less than a month. So the St. Louis Blues coverage is going to be a lot here on the podcast, every single episode. Like I said, though, we are breaking down 3 players per episode going up into the season. And so today we're going to start, and I just pulled up the roster, wrote some notes down, and we're going down alphabetically. So we're going to start with Nikita Alexandrov. Nikita last year, 23 games played, 0 goals, 2 assists, a -4 rating. And with all the additions that we had in the offseason, whether it be the Joseph brothers, now one of them's a defenseman, but the Joseph brothers, you have Terrier that you got Radek Faksa, you got a bunch of these guys that are going to fit in that 3rd to 4th line role. You don't know what you're going to get from Zach Dean or Zachary Bolduc, and we're going to actually cover Bolduc today. But I think Alexandrov, I didn't even mention Nathan Walker in that mix too. There's a lot of guys in that 3rd to 4th line mix. And I think Alexandrov might be the guy that starts down at Springfield with the Thunderbirds, or he could be one of those guys that is not dressing and then is prepared for any type of injury. I do think we see Alexandrov this year. He's a 6'1" winger, long arms, lanky, tough defensive guy, but you're not going to get a whole lot offensively from him. And like I said, with all these new additions, I think Alexandrov might be the guy looking from the outside in to begin the 2024-2025 season. The second guy today, Zachary Bolduc. Bolduc, I believe it was a first-round pick for us a couple years ago. 25 games played last year at the end of the season, 5 goals, 4 assists. We have to remember, he's only 21 years old still. And I think a lot of us were shocked when he got the call. I think it was a little sooner than we had expected. And we also have to remember, Bolduc scored in 4 of the last 5 games last year, with goals in 3 of the last 5 games. So this guy ended the year on a very good streak, and I could honestly see him being more of a finesse guy. I could see him being in that top, maybe even top 2 line group. Depends on what you want to do with Brandon Saad, and kind of, I think it's going to be a mix and match thing. But I think Zachary Bolduc has a definite shot of being a top 3 line forward for the St. Louis Blues starting this season. I don't think there's any way that he doesn't make the roster outside of out of training camp. I think he's got his spot pretty much locked, and I think he might just run with this. How he ended the last season, this might be his chance to actually absolute run with this and really show what he can do. I really like Zachary Bolduc going into this season. The last player today is Pavel Buchnevich. Obviously one of our top 3, I mean, you could probably argue top 3 players on our team. Last year, 80 games played, 27 goals, 36 assists, 63 points. He has now played 3 seasons for the St. Louis Blues, going into his 4th season as a Blue. His 3 years as a Blue, 30 goals, 26 goals, 27 goals. Can he get back to that 30-goal plus season? Now, he's most likely going to play on that top line with, I would imagine, Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas in the middle. And with Robert Thomas's incline last year and just him kind of asserting himself as a borderline star / superstar in this game, I think Robert Thomas has another level to reach and get to, and I think Pavel Buchnevich's numbers might show that Robert Thomas incline that he's having. I think Buchnevich and Thomas, I think their numbers go together because they're playing on the same line. Obviously, Thomas, a great offensive player, great passing ability, and I think Buchnevich hopefully can put him in the back of the net at a higher clip this year. Like I said, 27 goals last year. He had 30 goals in his first year as a Blue. The plus minus, I would like to see that improve this year. Now, that's not all on him. He was a plus 29 his first season as a Blue, plus 14 his second year, and only plus 3 last year. Hopefully he can get back to that plus 10 or higher. And also the efficiency that he's shooting with. His first year as a Blue, 30 goals on 199 shots. His second year, 26 goals on 123 shots. And then last year, 27 goals on 207 shots. So his most efficient year, honestly, was that second year as a Blue. 26 goals on 123 shots. That first year, 30 goals, 199 shots. This last season, 27 goals, 207 shots. And that also impacts his shot percentage, which was his lowest of his career last year at 13%. So hopefully we get him back over 30 goals. Hopefully we get him back scoring at a higher clip on a higher percentage, more efficient. And I think if he does that, we're going to be looking pretty good going into this season. That's going to wrap it up for this episode, though. Like I said, every single episode we're going to be breaking down new St. Louis Blues players until the season begins, pretty much in just alphabetical order. We're starting with the forward group, and then we're going to go to defensemen and end out with goalies with Binnington and Hofer. But make sure to follow the podcast. It's going to wrap it up for this Wednesday episode. Like and subscribe if you are on YouTube. Follow and rate the podcast if you are on Spotify or Amazon Music. And, of course, go follow us on all social media for daily St. Louis sports content on Instagram, TikTok, and X at Arch City Sports. We're going to be answering your guys' questions on Friday's episode, so make sure to look on our story, and I will be posting a little question box for you guys to send in your questions and comments. And I will see you guys on Friday. Lance Lynn pitching tonight, and also look forward to that next Blues players roster breakdown. So I will see you guys on Friday. Have a great rest of your week.